Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October session of Dr. Spotfire. My name is Neil, and I am your host. I'm joined today with the other Dr. Spotfire team member, Jose. Jose, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Lereguirre from TIPCO again, and welcome everyone to this session.
All right. So we're going to get started with a quick intro. Today we're doing a session on custom visualizations, and our motto in Dr. Spotfire is learning is not driven by answers, but by questions. We like to say that at the beginning of every session, just to remind everyone that we're on this path of curiosity and learning, and that is all driven by asking questions about our data and our skills and how to accomplish things. And we're glad you're here today. You've asked a question on what type of custom visualizations are out there, and we're going to show you that today. So a little reminder is our recorded sessions are on our Spotfire YouTube channel. You can find that at the URL on your screen or just by searching Spotfire in YouTube. We highly recommend you subscribe to this and get all of our quick tip videos that we put out each week, and you get the recorded monthly live sessions that we're doing right now. There is also the there's a data science channel. You can search on YouTube for TIPCO Data Science, and there is a Dr. Data Science session that's done by Ether. He's been doing some really great sessions. Last time he did dynamic time warping, and he showed how to do how to align well logs that are on different time scales, and how to do that with Python data functions. So Aether's been showing some Spotfire tips and some advanced analytics and data science with Spotfire and other data science tools. So I would highly suggest just learning about data science with Aether. And also, I wanted to mention that we have our Gartner Peer Insights coming up. This is something that is really helpful to us at TIPCO and on our team. If you like Spotfire, if you like what you're getting from Dr. Spotfire and all of the different community aspects we're doing and the value you're getting from the tool, it really, really helps us a lot if you can do a Gartner Peer Insight review. The link is on that screen if you want to screenshot this. I'll also try to put this in the chat for everyone. So I'm sending this out on chat for Spotfire, and I'll send that out on LinkedIn as well. But this is we don't typically ask very much of our audience, but this is the one time of the year that we could really appreciate your help. I'll be reaching out to some of you individually and seeing if you can help us out with these Gartner Peer Insights. Big help for us. So, all right. So today we're going to be doing a custom visualization showcase. Again, my name's Neil, and I'm joined by Jose. And the first thing I wanted to show with this custom visualizations is how to download and install a Spotfire mod. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Give me a second to just move and switch my screens. Here we go. Share screen and start. There we go. Okay, so Spotfire custom visualizations are also known as Spotfire Mods, and you can find Spotfire Mods on tipco.com /mods. It'll take you to this page where you can see all of our custom visualizations, and these are available in Spotfire 11.0 and above. So we're currently on Spotfire 12 now. So if you're on Spotfire 11, you're on Spotfire 12, you can use these mods. They're all really easy to download. You can try this button that says try mods now, and that'll take you to our community page. And on our community page, you can scroll down, and there's a button which is view mods on TIPCO Community Exchange. And when you try this, it'll actually open up an exchange listing. So this is our exchange where you can download the mods, and you can select an individual mod, and you can actually try these by going to there's a link here which will say to try the mod now. Let's let this page load. You can try this mod in TIPCO Cloud Spotfire. And what's nice is when you try this mod, this is the Kanban board. When you try this stuff, you can actually use this right in your web client and see if you like the mod, if you want to download it. you can go back to all community mods, and you can see all of the mods available in this DXP. And so you can hit try this mod on any one of these, and you can say, hey, this is a Sunburst. I really like the way the Sunburst is working. I want to try this, and I want to download this to my own analysis. So that's the way you can kind of sample these. So they're all on this site, tibco.com/mods. And if you want to download a mod directly, I'm going to download the Donut Chart mod. I can just click this directly, and it'll take me to the community, and you'll need to log into the community. So make sure you're logged in. Let me just go ahead and hit my login. One second here. Just need a two-factor authenticate. And when you're logged in, you'll see these downloadable options. So there's a Donut Chart 1.0.1. This is an older version you can download. And then there's the latest one, which is 1.1.1. There's a mod file itself, which is in the zip file. And you also have a license and a user guide as well for each of these. So I'm just going to download this Donut Chart, and I'm going to download it to my downloads folder. And here I'm going to show in the folder. Let me go to downloads. I got my Donut Chart mod, and I'm going to extract this Donut Chart mod to my folder. And here you're going to see in the Donut Chart mod folder, you'll see a file that on some Windows machines, it looks like it's a video file, but it's actually a .mod file. It's a mod file. And you can actually just drag and drop this into Spotfire. So I'm going to open up Spotfire here, and I'm going to open up this Donut Chart mod from my local file system. I'm going to drag and drop it right into Spotfire, and you're going to see a Donut Chart appear. So this is a Donut Chart, and what I'm looking at is vehicle attributes for different vehicles, manufacturers, car lines, engine displacement, cylinders, fuel efficiency. I really like this data set because it's got a good mix of categorical and numerical variables in here. And so I'm able to kind of go ahead and change my mod if I want. I'll get into the configuration in a little bit, but let me go ahead and show you a little bit more about how this works once you've dragged and dropped the Spotfire mod into your visualization or into your DXP. You can go there and you can save it as a library item by clicking on these going to these three dots right here. I'm going to save this to a library item, and I have a folder that I keep at kind of the root level of our public folder, and I have this Donut Chart. So here I have an older Donut Chart. I can view details. This is a Donut Chart that was put in at the beginning of the year. And this latest Donut Chart, I might want to save this over it. And so you can see here, I can have an existing visualization mod. I want to change it to a new visualization mod. I'm going to save that just to my library. That easy. It's saved to my library. And then once it's saved to my library, I can always go to find visualizations in the library and find all of my different mods. It'll automatically filter by mods. It'll show the ones that are in that public folder, that root folder that I already had. But it also shows ones that are being developed by others. Andrew Barry just developing an icicle diagram. There's some work done by Jose on a stripe chart, a difference chart, a galaxy mod, a 3D cube. So a SPLOM that Jose is working on. So I can see all the mods that are in development, and I can choose to take any one of these and I can pin them or unpin them for my visualization. So the Donut Chart mod, let me search that. We have the Donut Chart mod, and it's not pinned to my visualization. So I can hit pin to visualizations here, or if I have it in my DXP, it'll show above this line, and I can hit pin right there. And once it's pinned, it'll always show up in my visualizations panel, just like a native visualization. So then I have this, anytime I open up Spotfire, anytime I'm working on a DXP, I have these pinned here for future use. So let's go into the actual showcase of how we can use some different mods. So one that I really like to talk about is hierarchical data. And I'm going to actually start with a tree map, which is a native visualization. It's not a custom visualization. And a tree map, you can show a hierarchical data. So I can have like my manufacturer, and I can have the car line under there. Or the division maybe. So you can see there's a GM, and under GM we have GMC, Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac. Under Toyota we have Lexus, Toyota, Scions. So you can see this hierarchical data here. And a custom visualization that I really like is the Sunburst Chart. And this is good for hierarchical data as well. And also, by the way, while I'm doing this, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We're going to be answering questions from the chat. I see Filippo is here as well. So Filippo, glad that you joined us, and we're excited to show you this great opportunity with visualization mods. And then once again, I wanted to show the link that we have for our Gartner Peer Insights. I have that. I'm going to show this on the screen. But go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll show these on the screen and answer them live for you. So we're going to have a live session here ongoing for the next 30 minutes or so. So going back to my hierarchical data, I have this Sunburst chart. And the Sunburst chart, I want to select categorical data. So I want to have, let's say, manufacturer. I want to add, with this plus here, I can add another layer. So I'm going to put division. And then I can add even another layer, and I can put maybe car line. So that's a pretty busy Sunburst chart. I can maybe color this by my inner circle, which is manufacturer. And then you're seeing these are all the different manufacturers and car lines and divisions. One tip that I really like with the Sunburst chart is to actually limit the data. This might work for you in a lot of situations. You limit the data by its own marking. So if right now, if I click on like BMW, it'll highlight BMW in another data table. I have that marking working interactively across visualizations. But it's hard for me to see some of these smaller actual vehicles in this car line here. So if I limit the data by the marking, what's really cool is that it kind of expands and contracts out. So I can select the center. I have everything. And let's say I want to see all the Toyota. I can see all the manufactured by Toyota, and it expands that out for me. And I can then see the individual car lines there. So that's one tip. Another thing to keep an eye out for your visualization mods is you'll see this little configuration icon. This is some additional settings. So you have your visualization properties that are your normal visualization configurations, how you want to size things, color things. If you want to do Spotfire actions, take direct action on your data, how you want to configure your legends. You'll see a lot of your normal configurations in the visualization properties, but you'll get some additional properties from this little icon here within the mod. So this interaction has a marking mode or a drill down mode. So if you remember, I had this data that I limited by its own marking. I can actually uncheck that, and I can use this as a drill down mode. And the drill down mode will do the same type of thing. Drill down on that marking. I can show segments with empty values. I can show segments by value. I can choose how I want my labels for all or for marked rows only. So you can get this all of these different options here in the in this extra window. And you'll see in the center, I'm getting the actual percentage of the Sunburst chart. I think the Sunburst chart is also very space efficient. It's a good way to show that hierarchical data a very space efficient way. Now, another type of mod I wanted to show is a Kanban board. And this actually, the Kanban board is meant for like project management, where you might have different stages of a certain task that you're kind of completing, but you can also use this for things like just categorical data selectors. So the Kanban board, I can choose this as maybe my manufacturer, and I have all of my different manufacturers on here. My next data type I want to put as the division, And then I maybe want to color this by, let's say I can do it by the engine displacement, see the largest engines. I can color this by car line and see all the different car lines. I can color this by division, see the divisions. But what I get is a nice categorical selector here where I can select my data and see that on my other visualization. So the Kanban board is really interesting. If I want to see this by maybe the different transmission types, and I want to see this by the different cars. So here we see all the automatic cars. Let me color this by the transmission type as well. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. I'm just kind of clicking through and showing some different configurations here. But I'm going to show this by the transmission type as well. So here we can see all the automatic cars, 4Runners, 2-wheel drive. We can click on that. We can see all the continuous variable transmission vehicles. We can see the manual vehicles, convertibles, and sports wagons, and Porsche 911s, and 911s, and all these different types of vehicles. So it's a nice way to drill down and select categorical data. Now, another way to select categorical data that I really like is a very simple mod. It's the tag mod. And on the tag mod, you can select, let's say I want the division here. Here I can select my visualizations through this easy tag. Now, one thing I don't like about the tag mod, I might talk to the author to see if they can change this, is that it's hard to deselect. So you can select multiple, you can hold the control key down and select multiple tags and categories here. But to deselect, you have to go to another visualization and deselect. Or to deselect, you can let's say, oops, yeah, there we go. We select this. You can right click and go to marked rows and go to unmark, and that will deselect. So the tag mod is a good way to drill down on, let's say you have different basins and you're drilling, or you have different products and you're selling and you want to like drill down on those different products, you can do that. Now, going back to hierarchical data, another good visualization is the list mod. So the list mod and the Sunburst mod, I think I like them a little bit better than the Treemap. Maybe it's just because they're new, but I think the list mod especially gives you a good way to select data. So this list mod, I can select this hierarchy. So I can do manufacturers here. I can hit the plus. I can do division, and I can just keep hitting this plus and adding new categories in here. So now we're seeing like all the Audi cars, the Audi A3s. I can select this data right here. I can select multiple data set, multiple columns right there. But I'm getting this hierarchy here that I can easily select data and use this list that can scroll through a lot of different data. So this is really good for hierarchies and categorical data as well.
And we have a question from Mod.
Mm-hmm.
It says, does the action control work in custom visualization?
Yes, actions do work in custom visualizations. So Spotfire Actions is what we showed in our last session, where you can integrate with SQL databases and Redshift and Salesforce, and you have integration to take actions in CRMs and all kinds of other platforms, and you can use actions in this as well. So you get that whole actions option there. Okay. What else do I have that I want to show here? So let me show some actual visualizations. So one thing we have is a rows chart. I like the rows chart as well. The rows chart, you can actually, I think this was inspired by Florence Nightingale, I believe. But the rows chart, you can choose, like, let's say a hierarchy of the different manufacturers, and I want to size this by its highway fuel efficiency. So what we're seeing here, and I can actually check this, and I can show circles around this. Now you're seeing circles around this in the rose chart, but you're able to see which manufacturers have the highest fuel efficiency across all of their vehicles. Or maybe a different way I want to see that is cylinders. So the 4-cylinder vehicles have the highest highway fuel efficiency across all the vehicles here, and that goes down. Obviously, there's as you have more cylinders, you have less highway fuel efficiency. So you can choose your numerical variable in your sizing, and then you can choose a hierarchy of let's say, manufacturer and then division. You can choose a hierarchy of categorical variables in your hierarchy selector. And then you can color this by using the categorical or the numerical variables there. So that's a nice rose chart. Similar to a rose chart is a spider chart. So a spider chart is good for kind of profiling data. Here we have different transmission types for different transmission types for different air aspiration methods in the vehicles. Let's say I want to see, well, I think manufacturers are going to be a little, well, it's not too much. But one thing I like to do with a spider chart is keep the values that are around the axis you want to keep them that are kind of related to each other. So for instance, engine displacement or cylinders, you can see the number of cylinders, and this will give you a better profile of things. So if I color this by let's say number of gears or engine displacement or cylinder, well, I already have cylinders. Say color this by manufacturer, you're seeing like these type of vehicles that have a lot of 8-cylinder vehicles in this blue. The GM has a lot of there. You're seeing that profile there. There's a lot of 6-cylinder BMWs. You're seeing that in there. And then this is by row count, but you can change the sizing here. So you could change this to like highway fuel efficiency. And you're seeing the vehicles that have high highway fuel efficiency and 4 cylinders here. This is the Volkswagens. Back here we have the Porsches. But then just some configurations with this. So this is one of the first mods, and it doesn't have a little configuration button in the top right. Instead, you got to left click on the axis, and you get these options to change these to like linear. You can choose if you want them to be color filled or not color filled. And you can choose if you want to rotate the x-axis labels and normalize the y-axis labels. So you can rotate these around. And that's nice if on my x-axis I had things like manufacturer, I might want to rotate these labels around. So let me change this to like something like cylinder. So you can choose to rotate these axes right there, which is really nice. Next, let's show let's just go down this list and show a little bit of the display value mod. Now, display value mod is nice for KPIs. It's just a very simple mod that shows a list or a specific value. So for instance, if I had my list mod, and let me pull my display value in here. It's nice because it's very responsive to the screen sizing as well. So you can put multiple display values in. I can go ahead and duplicate this. Duplicate visualization. I got another display value mod I can put right here. And you can kind of create KPIs. So one of these I can do as, let's say, the value I want to do as city fuel efficiency. And then the other one I want to, so I'll call this one city. The other one I'll do as highway. And let me change this value to highway. And I can select a vehicle, and I can have these actually drill down, data to drill down on the marking. So when I select a different vehicle, I can see the city and highway fuel efficiency right there in the display value model. It's a very clean and easy to use KPI right there. So just clicking through these, I get that. And then if I have nothing selected, if I unmark these, you get the average across everything. So at first I thought, hey, display value model, well, that's like really simple. I want to see more like visualizations, but I find myself using display value mod all the time. Actually, it's a lot easier than going into a text area and creating a calculated value as an object and formatting that calculated value. You can just drag this in, and I think I really actually end up using it all the time. So I highly recommend that.
Hey Neil, we have another question from Scott Russell. He's asking if there are any plans for version control with mods, because in previous organizations they like to see they have a lot of requests for mods, and they have a kind of hesitation to roll it out to a broader audience, and that will be around environment becoming the Wild West. So what is the best practice in this regard? The folder permissions, and let me contribute a little bit of that. One of the best practices is to put your mods on a folder, like a root folder, like Neil said at the beginning. So whenever the mod changes, if you replace that mod and everyone in the organization is using that mod, they will get a warning if they want to keep using the old version or replace it with the new version.
Yeah, mods you want to share with your whole organization, you want to put at higher levels in your library hierarchy. You get version control on developing like individual mod files. You can have a version control that is the Spotfire version control is released with Spotfire 12, applies to all library objects. So that applies to data functions, DXPs, color schemes, mods. So you can actually see older and newer versions of Spotfire mod. But the other thing is that when you actually publish the mod, Jose, you were just talking about how you can actually set the version number of the mod, and this will when you saw me bring the donut chart from the very beginning, it was looking at the different versions, and they were both 1.1.1, but you can choose to actually push out. You can bring in a new version and push that out to all the other new mods or new DXPs that are using those mods. Anything you want to add to that, Jose?
No, that's it. Thank you, Scott, for your question and comment.
Okay, and so like I mentioned donut charts. Donut chart's really similar to the Rose chart and the Sunburst chart, but and obviously very similar to a pie chart. But it's nice because it shows you a value in the center. So here you can see the drill down of this. You can change in the donut chart the sector. You can change what the actual labels are, the sector value, the sector category in here, the label positions. You want them inside or outside the donut. You can change the sorting order. It's sorting by size or sorting by alphabetically. And you can quickly hit visualize semicircle here, and that will show this kind of like a gauge. And so the donut chart's good for categorical data. And you can also use this for hierarchical data as well. But the Sunburst chart will add a new layer into this, whereas the donut chart doesn't add a new layer. So if you're using hierarchical data, I might recommend the Sunburst chart instead. Speaking of gauges, there is a nice gauge chart mod. So I'll bring that in. This is nice because, so let's say we'll do this on highway fuel efficiency. So we'll do average highway fuel efficiency, and I can choose to gauge this. I'm gonna expand this out. I can make a different gauge for each manufacturer just by clicking gauge by there. And so now we're seeing the different highway fuel efficiencies for each of the different manufacturers, the average highway fuel efficiencies. But I can also change the minimum and maximum here. So Minimum, we're gonna hit 0, and then I'm gonna hit this enter apply button or enter return button. And the maximum I might say as, let's say, like 30 or something, and that you can see that'll change it all. So that's nice because well, I'll show it a little bit later on, but we have some real-time data we're going to show with mods, and that will the maximum will help us like control how the real-time data is displayed a little bit better. The nice thing with the Gantt chart mod is you have a lot of custom configuration options. So the scale ticks, you can make them really dark. You can make them hidden all together. The background here, this gray bar, you can make that a little bit clear. You can change the gauge angle, so you can make them all semicircles, half circles there, or you can make them all full circles. And you can change the arc width, so you can make them really fat, or you can make them kind of skinny, however you like to do it. So gauge charts, really nice. It's a nice KPI visualization when you want to see the measures of a categorical value in a lot of different categories.
2 more questions, Neil.
Okay.
One is from Shiva, and he says, "Oh, mods are great. Can we see mods like we do in the marketplace?"
Yeah. So just like I showed at the beginning of the session, we have the Spotfire. If you go to tipco.com/mods, you'll see the gallery of all the different mods that we have available. And you can click on any one of these and it'll take you to the exchange. And that's kind of our marketplace, is the exchange, where you'll see different Spotfire mods. You can always go to the exchange directly and search for mods, or you can click on one of these links.
There's a related question also from Katie. She says, "I saw in your mod library that you have a circle Treemap, but I don't see that in the Spotfire mod area in the TIPCO side. So is that available, or where's that?" And there are probably many more that you saw, like the cube and those things. And those are proof of concepts that we are creating, developing, testing, and we just happen to have that in our library. But soon to be released, for example, this Plum chart that I'm working on, and the well-log mod that I'm going to show you if we have time. So.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a GitHub repository where you can see what mods we're working on, and you can download different prototypes and things. And some of the mods you're seeing, like the circular tree map, is right here in the examples of the Spotfire mods GitHub repository. And the circular tree map, if you're wondering what that is, it's just like a regular tree map, but there's circles here. So I can size these by, let's say, like city or highway fuel efficiency, and I can do a hierarchy here of manufacturers. But I can add to that hierarchy, and I can add on top of the manufacturers, I can add the division. And so you're seeing now, this is the Audi manufacturer, and these are the divisions within Audi. These are sized by fuel efficiency. You can see the Bugatti has the highest, the lowest highway fuel efficiency here. Audi has some of the highest fuel efficiency on this on the Volkswagen. The BMW Mini has a high fuel efficiency. But yeah, you can go through the circular tree map this way. Scrollable bar chart's nice because if I do a regular bar chart, and let's say I put horizontal bars here, and I do manufacturer, or I do car line here, you can see that all of these get kind of crunched up together, right? And so the common solution to this is to put a zoom slider on here, and then people can kind of zoom in to a scrollable bar chart, and they can see, okay, here are my individual ones, and then they have to go do this. And that's a little bit of some extra clickology there. And so with less clicks, you can do something like a scrollable bar chart. And this, I can have my category as my different car lines. And let's say I want to color it by, or my values, I'll do my highway fuel efficiency, and I'll color it by transmission type. Here you'll see that I can actually easily scroll these. One thing with the scrollable bar chart is that it keeps a high number of decimal points. So what I would recommend doing is using the round function, round, and then around to 2 decimal places. I don't know why that one stayed there. Average. What did I do wrong? That's interesting that it keeps some of those with, I've never seen that before, but it's keeping some of these with a high number of decimal places. Interesting, but you might want to play around with that, and you can adjust these numbers here. Normally, when I do this, it doesn't keep these high number of decimal places. There might be something going wrong, and I could look into it, but I don't want to spend too much time looking into it now. And you can also sort these by values. So where is that option to sort these by value? Oh yeah, you left click on this actual labels, and you sort by value. And then you have this nice scrollable bar chart here with your data. Jose, you're going to show the network chart, right?
Yes, I'm gonna. But feel free to share the show if you have it handy.
I'll leave that to you. I'm going to show a couple more. I'm going to show you're doing Gantt chart. Let me switch to some streaming. I'll show the Violin chart. This one's kind of nice. So Violin chart, we can see maybe I can choose this to show on my X by manufacturer. We can see all the different manufacturers. My Y, maybe I'm going to see highway fuel efficiency. I keep going to that one. I've been using that as a theme. And then we can see the distribution of vehicles that are Audis and what their highway fuel efficiency is. But what's nice with this is I can actually choose to show the data points as well. And let's say I want to show this by number of gears or something. So now, and we'll show this by transmission type. So now you're seeing the colors of each of the data points that are making up this distribution. And that was with this little gear icon. So we can see with data points, we can include a box plot as well and see the box plot distribution of these variables over these continuous distributions. And then you can choose to show it as a histogram, and you can just keep it normal as a violin. So that's a really cool one. This one's actually a modathon winner. We hosted a modathon where people competed and submitted their own mods as part of a competition. And this was developed by Genware, the Violin chart. And sometimes we call it the Boxolin chart because you can do box plots and violins together. Next, I'm just going to show some streaming data and some NLP data. And then I'll hand it over to you, Jose. So Spotfire Mods work with in-database data, in-memory data, and streaming data. So they work just like custom visualizations or native visualizations. Here I have some streaming data on oil wells in Texas. You can see this data is moving over here. You can see the size of the wells increasing and decreasing based off of the pressure intake and the intake pressure. And I can go here and I'm going to show a gauge chart. And I'm going to show a gauge for each well. So these are all my different wells. And you can see that what's happening is they're all pretty full because my value, let me see my value as my pressure my actual pressure. Here we go. My gauge is that, my data table is that, my value, I want to have pressure, I want to have the last non-null value, so the latest pressure value. And you can see they all look like they're about the same here. So this is where using that minimum value can come in handy. I can choose, let's say like 550 for my minimum. And then I can choose a maximum value of, let's say, 650. And it's a little bit easier to see this now because this is within the range of where those values, those pressure intake values normally are. And I can color this by, let's say, any of these that are in a pressure alert. So the ones that are in an alert state, I can color them red. And the ones that are non-alert state, I can color them, say, green. And so this is going to order these by the wells that are in an alert state, and I can see why they're in an alert state. They have high pressure. These all have higher pressure compared to the ones that are performing in a normal state. And then just quickly showing this is my last one on this type, just the rose chart again. The rose chart is great for showing a lot of categorical data. So I can show my well ID, and I can size this by my pressure. And you can color this by my pressure alert. And I won't color that. Here you can see the different wells here, and I can I think I can do, yeah, no colors. Yeah, I'll just leave it like this. So here I can see the different wells and their pressure. You can see it kind of growing and shrinking. And when things are at a much higher state, let me see, the size is less full pressure. Yeah. Then this will change dramatically if something goes really outside of the range on these wells. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to show 2 NLP word visualizations, and then I'll hand it over to Jose to show some of the more advanced Spotfire mods. So here I have Airbnb listings. I have listings with their ratings and attributes about number of bedrooms and bathrooms. And then I have the reviews of how people rated these listings. You can see the reviews have a lot of text in them. I did a sentiment analysis data function on that. I'm not going to show that here, but there is an NLP entities and sentiment analysis Python data function. It's called the NLP Python toolkit you can find on our TIBCO community. And that'll give you individual entities of your phrases, and you can do things like a word cloud with it. And so this word cloud is going to be from my sentiment results table. I'm going to choose to do the phrase. And I'm going to color it by the phrase polarity. And I'm going to size it by the row count. So we can see the Airbnbs that have great, beautiful, nice, clean in here. What I can do is if I go to the sentiment results, I go to text, I can actually join up this text column with my map data. So let me just do that real quick. Linked data tables is a recommendation. It's noticing that the data table with the mapping data and the data table with the sentiment data have related fields. So I can choose to link that, and I can click like great, and we can see the Airbnbs with great in the review or clean in the review. And to show you that a little bit more clearly, I'm going to show the text card mod. I'm going to create a details visualization, and I'm going to do the text card mod. And the text card mod, I'm going to card it by the different text, the content I want to be the text, and Yeah, and I think that's it. So if I hit great, we're seeing these reviews that say, let me make this a little bit bigger and easier for you all to see. You're seeing reviews that say great over here, great over here, beautiful room. Let's say this is a great restaurant. So you're seeing great in there. Clean, if I click on clean, you're going to see clean in this, charming and clean. This room was clean. So the individual phrases or text was actually, the entities were extracted out of it. And we have this nice text card mod. You can choose to to centralize it. You can choose to use an impact font, which is a popular font. You can choose to do horizontal and vertical. And you can choose to do different angles as well, which I think is all a little bit hard to read. I like using just the regular horizontal. But also with the text card mod, this is the word cloud and this is the text card. You have this copy button, so you can just hit copy, and this will copy the text to your clipboard, and you can easily use that in different applications. And this text card mod was developed by university students in Gothenburg, Sweden. So we thank them for their contribution. It's a really cool mod and great for maybe if you have manufacturing log data or reviews like this, or notes from like a sales opportunity. It's a really nice mod to use. All right, so Jose, I'm gonna stop sharing now and hand it over to you, and you can show us some of your mods.
Perfect. Yeah, sure. So let me show you the basic text area mod. Okay, here we have it. Then let me put it side by side. Okay, so the basic text area mod doesn't require any underlying data. It's just a text area. It's good for add formatting to place text documents. It works very well on the web player. It was it supports Markdown, which is a simplified markup language, which was created in 2004 and is now widely used around the world. So let me show you what the capabilities, not only Markdown it's capable to handle, but also HTML. And in particular,
because you can use it in the web player. So if you're doing business author editing, the text area wasn't available, but the basic text area as a mod is available.
Yes, so it's not a replacement of the text area because it doesn't support scripting or Spotfire controls like document properties and whatnot. But it supports HTML5 and Markdown. Like here, just put the basic text area, double click, you have your Markdown there. And for example, HTML, you can just add your HTML if you want to add a table. Click here, click save, and then you have the render. I'm not going to be copying and pasting just because I want to go fast with the rest of the mods that I'm going to showcase. But here I have some pretty cool, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know why it's obsolete now, but in legacy HTML, we have this marquee, and it looks like this. You just have a test with a few lines of code. You'll have the marquee, just wrap it up with marquee tag. I'm going to hide the preview. And some of the cool HTML5 that I think is very useful for quick, without having to deal with JavaScript or anything like that, maybe minimum styling. But here we have, for example, the mark tag. The mark tag, just put your text with the mark tag and you will see the highlights automatically colored. SVG supports SVG. If you want to draw some diagram or circles, then you can use SVG supports SVG. Detailed summary. This is also useful because sometimes the HTML text area is sanitized with HTML sanitation. It's on, but with this mod, you can just go directly and use freely your HTML. And look at these details. So it's a great way to. I use the details tag on all these previews, and here's an example on how to use it. Just put details and then a summary, and everything else is going to be the content of my tag. The meter, this is pretty cool when you are showing maybe some values or threshold, part of the legend, and it just renders nice little gauges with minimum and maximum values. Too bad it's not dynamic, but that's the way it is. Then we have also this data, last but not least, we have this data tag that where you can put a value, and then with a little bit of a styling, because it supports styles or CSS, you can say whenever I put my mouse over the element or the tag, is going to show me the value of that element. So when I click that, I can see how that works. So maybe it's good to have your formatting, your elements quick and easy in your Spotfire analysis. Let's go to the Sankey. The Sankey is also known as alluvial diagram, shows the flow from one set of values to another, and is used for energy allocation or material cost transfer. This Spotfire mod was developed by a typical customer, but it was invented back in the 1800s to represent energy or material flows, and it's now widely used in science and engineering. Let me show you here this data set. Well, I have hierarchical data. I have different levels. That's the way that Sankey gets the data. I have a value. This value is the itemized or the with the more granularity or resolution level of each of the values. But when I use the Sankey diagram, it's going to roll up or aggregate all the values. For example, here I have my budget as the first level. I have the first level here. If I put my mouse right on top, I have the aggregation 158 of all these particular values. Then I can keep adding to my level. I have another level here, and that's the breakdown. I can see my budget broke into operations. My fiscal year budget has 4 categories in my second level. Fifth level, I have one more breakdown for the production. But the idea here is that you can easily or very quickly see how the flow of your resources spread out. Let me show you another example. Here it's easier to digest this other example of Sankey, where I have this data set. So I have 3 levels. My main supplier cost segregated in capital expenses and operational expenses, and you can see very quickly that the most of my capital expenses goes into depreciation, and here on my operational expenses it goes to wages. If I want to add another level, I have here right now 2 levels, but I can add one more level. No, I do have the 3 levels here, but I can just add them or remove them as I will. In this case, just 2 levels, and it will render 2 levels. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there it is. It just took a while to update. Sometimes when I'm streaming, it just gets a little bit slow. So the Gantt chart. Let's switch to the Gantt chart because we don't have much time left. The Gantt chart, it's very popular among project managers, displays activity over time. It was invented by Henry Gantt around 1910. And modern Gantt chart shows dependencies and relationship between activities, but this one doesn't. So I have also my hierarchical level. Here's my data table with different tasks and subtasks. Let's say my steps. I have 3 categories: concept, development, and productization of a software project task that I want to see my time lapse. It requires a starting date and end date, and then I can also see if I have overdue task. By clicking on the label, I can show overdue task or show the weekends. For example, it will highlight the weekends. And here I have my overdue task, but I can add more details if I add more my hierarchical. Here I'm going to add the task, and it's going to expand for each of my steps. It's breaking down in different tasks and the dates that corresponds to each one of them. I have a couple here that are overdue, and then I can do further analysis on that. Let's move on to the bump chart. And if you have any questions, just keep them posting despite the time constraints. But here I have my bump chart. The bump chart is a special form of a line plot, but is designed for exploring changes in rank over time. I put together some data about the internet browser's usage. So the data table is very simple. I have the year, the browser, and the usage. I had to, I have here, like you can see in 2007, Internet Explorer was very popular, but over time, it just went down. It lack of popularity. Also, Firefox became popular in 2010 and then dropped down. And Chrome was not even known in 2007. Went all the way up to the top rank.
And I think it's nice because in that usage, you can also do that by rank, I believe.
Yes.
So the ranking usage, you can use the rank expression, and that will show them all kind of leveled out, and it will be different from a line chart, just a standard line chart. So I don't know if you want to try that, Jose.
Okay, let's try that. So let's do the custom expression on my ranking and then do the rank by usage. That's it. That's it. Oh, I need to
make it categorical. And then we need to do the rank, I guess, the changing order, the descending order. But
yeah,
we can move on. It's kind of the same.
Yeah, it's about the same. A quick workaround is just to change the, maybe if I do a negative value here, we'll reverse it. Yeah. Well, the proper way is to put the proper parameter in the ranking expression.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is the bump chart. Let's move on to the stock chart. Stock chart. I got this data set from historical NASDAQ for Apple. These are trades since 2013, where it has the open, close, high, low, volume of trades, and the date, of course, for each day. And I use this stock chart to show the value of stocks over 5 as a candlestick or OHLC bars. The OHLC bars are open, close, open, high, low, close. So here's what I mean by that. I have all the data here, and then I can zoom in, zoom out, and can I see my candlestick? When it's red is because the ticket was open at a lower price than it was closed, and red when it was the other way around. And I can also change the settings by looking at this type of bar. I can zoom in and see the opening and the close tag, and because it was the other way around, it was color red. But when it opened low and turns on, and at the bottom I have an histogram of the volume trade. That's optional, and I can turn it on and off by looking that, turning that on and off. And as well, I have my log scale. If I want to turn that on, I can see the log scale. It's good for traders. You can see, you can zoom in and out. You can also, by dragging you can explore the functionality of this mod. Is pretty cool. Now let's go to the animated bubble chart. This bubble chart shows 3 dimensions of data and represent the relationships between measures. The cool part about this one is that you can see the changes of these relationships over time in an animated way. And this data the data comes from it's World Development Indicator. And we have the country, the year, the population back then in that year, the income, life expectancy, and everything. This mod was very popular by Hans Rosling in a TED Talk in 2006. So when you click play, you can see this bubble chart moving, and on the background, you see the year of this development. So you can see the income on the x-axis and the life expectancy on the y-axis. So
you can change the speed down there too in the bottom right. And so
on the bottom right, I can change the speed. I can put maybe a little bit faster. And there we go. So it's pretty interesting because I can also pause. I can go all the way to the end. Then I mark the ones, like maybe the winners, if you will, and then I can go back into, because once I mark these values, I'll see a label. So yeah, it's because the streaming's a little bit slow, but it's normally not that slow.
Yeah, sometimes when we do the live session streamings, things go a little bit slower than they would on your desktop.
Yeah, but look, Singapore, and there was another one. Maybe I didn't catch it, but the look at Qatar, how quickly went to being high income, high life expectancy. Anyways, let's go to the next one, the network chart. So the network chart visualizes relationships and connections between data points. And I am using this network chart over time series data set that contains product from sales transactions. And from these, the frequency of product bought together are calculated to generate a number of metrics. So the metrics are high support, where the high presence in the data sets are. Then you have high confidence finding association, and then you have the promising results and other metrics that were calculated with other algorithms. But here I have it. Maybe I'm going to show this one better on an analysis so I can explain better how that works. And you can see here, I can zoom in and out by using my scroll mouse wheel. And you can see this strong relationship between arts and craft and games and toys. And there's another relationship between this one. I can move my elements around and I can see network. But you can also use it for social media connections, or maybe you have a network environment and you want to see the topology of your network. You can also plot it with the network chart. And finally, the one I am working on, we're a little bit over time, but I just want to show you this well-log chart. And the well-log mod or well-log chart, it's a two-dimensional record of track that can be used in petroleum exploration and production applications to show different properties of the rock fluid mixtures versus depth. So this well-log visualization is important in exploration and production operations to evaluate the reservoir volume or estimate the reserve and other insights. So I can so notice that because these are custom visualizations, the properties might change the way it look and feel, as we saw in other mods. If you click on the axis, settings will show up. In this case, it's a little bit different, but I have this setting where I can add tracks to my mod, to my track. I can have different tracks. Maybe I want to overlay these two tracks and then I color them. Maybe I just don't want to color them at all. Change a different color, and you can add tracks. You can add curves to each track, and you can do a lot of different things. And what is very useful when you overlap these lines, you can see different aspects of your log analysis and determine if there is basically oil or it's worth drilling opportunity.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for joining our session. I know we're a little bit over, so we're going to end it right here. Any questions that you have, just go ahead and put them on the posting, and we'll answer the questions as they come in. And thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next month. I think it's November 1st. It's the first Tuesday of November. We will see you on that date for our next Dr. Spotfire session. Have a good day.
Just real quick, if you are interested in developing your own mod.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, just search for Spotfire Developers Mod in TIBCO, and you will find I don't have it here. Just go to search for Spotfire Developers Mod, the hub, and then in the TIBCO community, there's a set of videos and training and tutorials for those who have little or no JavaScript programming, and you can create your own and learn how to create your own mods, or maybe tweak your own mods.
Jose's put together a nice hub for those of you that want to build these from scratch, and even if you're not familiar with JavaScript, it's still useful for you. You can see that you don't need JavaScript to use the mod, but to create a new mod from scratch, it requires JavaScript programming. So thanks for showing that, Jose, and thanks for joining us, everyone. We will again see you in November, and you all have a good week. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.